I call myself the favorite house girl in tech because I'm a product manager. And I had a plan earlier when I was preparing my slides and I was coming for this conference. I really had great plans to come and talk about how you can put AI in GitHub, how you can, when you finish writing your unit test and you deploy it to Postman, AI rewrites the documentation and does all the rubbish. But something changed. Yesterday I had a fight with my devs, and I want to start with, please, how many people are front-end developers here? Please, front-end developers. I'm coming down. Front-end developers. Please, ahead. Thank you very much. What error do you show? Your error, back-end error.
Thanks. I see my errors. Yeah, but most of the time, back-end errors.
God bless you. How many times do people fight?
Well, what?
How many times do you guys fight? So I really wanted to show myself small, that at least me too, I know technical, that you know. Okay. We did full API product. I did not know the pain developers experience integrating the APIs that I built until I moved to Credit Direct and I wanted to integrate Remitter API. I said I wrote this requirement and I cannot integrate it. It's so bad. So that was where my thinking changed and I wanted to have a conversation. Is it because of the pressure we don't take our time to do the response codes and messaging well? That's the first question. Or is it that because the people that are integrating these APIs, they are our mobile developers? He sits in front of me now. If he has problem, he can tell me. Please, backend developers, I need an answer. I do now because I'm calling it wow to back-end developers in the house. Please, why? You did not hear the question. The question is the response codes and messaging that you people give us to go and sell on your behalf. Why is the reason why you don't take your time to give us something clear, something that developers like you can understand? Is it because of the pressure? Is it because of timeline? Is it because of the PMs? I would say we must go live immediately.
Just standards, right?
Huh?
Just standards, right? There's standard HTTP error codes like 400, 100. However, when you are building your API, you can specify some type of codes, right? And then put descriptions to them. However, if you are talking about like internal server error, you can't expose some kind of information to your client, right? For instance, it's a network error, a database error, because doing that you're exposing some sensitive data they're not supposed to be exposed to. You can't tell the client failed to leverage the DB because of network access, right? That is not their business. It's the business of the backend to handle that. However, it is better to like deal with the standard general HTTP status code. So, for instance, you can have like a 400 baud request. You have a data response, message response code. So, if it's a validation error, that's like 400. You put in like the reason why the validations, find them in your data, right? So that way the clients can progressively build without having to stress themselves over.
Thank you for explaining, but I don't buy it. Because I understand that there are standards. I understand that there are some errors that you should not see. But there are some errors that I should know. For example, an internal server error, sure, I know what to do. And that is where clear documentation comes in. And that is where we are going. I will answer you last question. Do I have?
Because of the light.
Okay. Okay. I don't know if you can. Please, can you speak? Please be audible. Thank you. Thank you. So let's get right into this. It's time for us to start treating APIs like products. Even if you are not selling them. You work for a mobile health company, yes. Your company integrates NIP, funds transfer, all those things. And whether you want it or not, you have a customer as a back-end engineer. Your customer is your mobile dev and your front-end guy. It's very, very important that API that you are building, you treat it as a product. Because the more frustration you are giving him, is the more frustration he is going to give the customer that is going to use the mobile app, the web portal. And that is where product managers now fight engineers. And QA2 will now be shouting, it did not pass. Then everybody will now fight, will now scatter the whole thing. And this is because, whether we like it or not, we are also frustrating ourselves. If you know you work in all this real pay company, buy power, all of you clap for yourself. All of you that are selling API for us, that when you people do timeout, you will debit us. Reconciliation will now become a problem. These are things that we need to talk about. Developers are your customers. Whether you like it or not, it's not the business manager that sells it. And the question I asked here is, would you ship a normal front-end product without onboarding, UI, UX, all those things? That is what your API documentation is supposed to speak. Now, the problem that we have, again, is who is in charge of API documentation? It depends on where you work. Really. Some people is their QA team, some people have technical writers, some people is the developers. But the truth is, it is your business managers that you give these APIs to, and they sell the same thing, and they cannot relate it or explain to the people that are integrating with them. And this is very, very important because it is what developers want. Developers smart APIs. They want to finish integrating within 2 weeks max. Let's say they built their own microservice and they've done their own lab. But I'm still integrating Netcore. Please, who has integrated Netcore here? Their documentation is frustrating. I've been doing this since last year. And if you don't call them, you might not know anything and they'll tell you, oh, we have upgraded some things. And I'm like, Oga, you updated things and it's not showing in your documentation. So we need to come on group call again to have those conversations. And these kind of things frustrate product managers like us that don't want our developers to be overburdened with doing the same cycle of work consistently. So we want easy onboarding, easy documentation, very clear. Downloading your API documentation, I should be able to see what to do when I see certain response codes. Yes, your company, your internal response code is 4,000 timeout. Thank you very much. 4,000 timeout is okay. Tell me what to do when I see it. Put it in your documentation that when you give me 4,000 timeout, do nothing. Call check status, and I'm fine. Don't tell me to call customer care. Tell me, call check status. Some organizations use Swagger for their API documentation. They send Swagger to us. Swagger cannot even, does not have clear documentation. What am I supposed to use it for? How will I know what to implement? These are... These are some of the problems that we always experience. Well, I was going to talk about how AI can do this, but I know that a lot of speakers have talked about how you can implement AI, and most people here already use GitHub Autopilot and all those nice shiny things that you people use to check the bugs in your code, that used to help you to rewrite your code. We are all there together. We use it for PRD, is to make our work faster. So what we are saying is it possible for us to use AI to, improve our documentation? How? You've deployed, you've written your unit test. Something has changed. Can that thing help us to update that API on Postman and the documentation to say 1, 2, 3 things have changed, and when I do a pull request, I can see all the changes that happen? That's how this conversation is supposed to go. But the truth is, many of us are working in legacy companies that to change response code and messaging in our legacy companies, we're having problems. But one of the things that I did in my past life is that working in a legacy company does not mean it's 0 points for you when it comes to your API documentation. There's something called response code mapping. We know that this legacy response codes and messages, this is the error. We can develop new ones and map them in a way that this new API response code and messaging that we've put together is clear enough for customers to see. And you just create a response mapping table. When it returns 4,000, that your 4,000, please show the customer 200. And this 4,000 I'm saying is real life. I cannot lie to you. Then, we have a personalized workflow. I personally encountered a platform. They did not pay me for marketing, so I'm not going to talk about them here. But they have like an AI chatbot on their integration platform. And once you onboard and come in, it will ask you, what do you need or what are you here for? And you say, oh, I came to integrate POS SDK, or I came to integrate your KYC, and it will will ask you, what do you write? I write Flutter, I write React. It will give you a link of the API documentation in your language. It was really fascinating when I saw it, although they still have work in progress. But looking at such levels, it means that the next generation of APIs that we are going to is smart, and it will make integration faster, which means that integration can become plug and play. Within 45 minutes, we're done integrating, apart from all our own internal audits, review, and testing. So the reason why this matters is because the people that sell your APIs, many of you here, if you hear what people say about you as a developer, that they don't know you, but the companies that you work on the behalf of, they're like, actually these developers don't know anything. And it's because the documentation that you gave your business manager to sell on your behalf, somebody is cursing you for it, and you are like, how does that concern me? But I'm talking from somebody that works in that business perspective, the product perspective, and see what we encounter when it comes to integration and documentation. And some of the things that I also want to mention is smart changes. Like I mentioned before that, when you have a pull request, my pull request is supposed to tell me that, oh, this API that I have, we have stopped using it, or we've changed it, you now pass V2, we have upgraded it, so we're using V2 now. Or in this payload, we've changed the identifier. There was one time we had identifier chaos where I was working. Technical writing team and technology team sat together and said, let's change our payload. Let's change the things. They sat down. They changed transaction ref to payment identifier. They changed date and time format. Forgetting that it is human beings that have integrated these APIs. Somebody somewhere pressed Ctrl deploy, and customers started having failed transactions. What they were supposed to do was still retain the former one, Abi, just change the new one. But somebody somewhere did not give a QA person to test. Somebody deployed it, and it became chaos. These are things that once that deployment happened, if there was a smart documentation, you will have reflected for that person that has integrated your API. Thank God Postman has this notification thing that you get once deployment has happened to any API that you fork. Sorry, fork, yeah, I have to say that. Any API that you personally fork. Other things are instant API keys. I see that a lot of development has come on this. You go to the dashboard, you can copy your API keys, you can even regenerate. Some companies are not in this level yet. Some people are still waiting for somebody to send them API keys. Then also, when it comes to API keys encryption, I know that we are trying to, put security layers, but sometimes they are unnecessary. There are some API keys security that I've encountered that are very, very unnecessary. In banks, I know that there's a high level of API key thing that they'll say, generate your own secret key, give me your public, I'll give you my public. That one still makes sense. But there are some encryption levels that are very, very unnecessary. So sometimes you should make it easier. Don't forget, the developer that is integrating you is your customer. And also, this makes integration feels sweet and feels like magic. Recently, I integrated one API, and they had moved from V1 to V2, but they did not move some APIs to V2, like their get product, get pricing, get category. So when the documentation was sent, the V1 had a separate URL, the V2 had a separate URL, and I got confused that, should we remove the V1 total? They said, no, you will still use part of the V1. And I said, no, if you were going to move to V2, just change the URL of V1 too. Let it come through the same API gateway of your V1, things like that. And we know that you're just changing V2. So these are things that we need to work on as developers when we get certain requests from our PMs. Many of our PMs don't speak our language, I know. But sometimes you need to also think product-wide to say, Abimbola, we understand the documentation that you wrote, something. Sometimes you need to also think product-wide and think of your customers. So this is like a real user experience to say, when the user signs up on the platform, AI can suggest endpoints and all that. So finally, what you should do next is, I want you all to be product managers. Somebody told me once that the world is for developers and product managers will go into extinction. So I developed my own plan
I'm going to be a software architect. Last, I will not be hungry. I can never be hungry. They say, AI will take your job. I said, sit down there. I've started architecture. All of us will eat in this country together. So let's all think product-wise. Let's think about APIs as products. Let's think about front-end developers as our customers. Today I'm going to say thank you very much. It was nice meeting you all.